Hey Andy Excel back with another NFXL podcast and another post combine update of the positional rankings ahead of the 2026 NFL draft. And in this one, I'm going to be looking at the wide receivers with just 44 days left until draft day. Um, so let's have a look at how this class looks right now. So looking at the needs first of all of the 32 NFL teams. Following a hectic opening to free agency, 14 openings as starting wide receivers may be open for the taking this offseason. Another 12 might be there for sort of wide receiver three types. So 26 openings for wide receivers. And at wide receiver, the free agent options do not look as plentiful as they do at quarterback and running back. About a dozen good options are available via that route or were available via that route before yesterday. So that leaves plenty of opportunity um, for 35 or so draft candidates out of this draft class that can make a claim to that. Of the free agents that are left, we're looking at now that Tyreek Hill, should he continue to carry on playing, Devo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Romeo Dubes, Rashid Shaheed, who's gone, Keenan, I didn't update that, Keenan Allen, Hollywood Brown, Christian Kirk, Darnell Mooney, they're the kind of top free agents available as alternatives to drafting a wide receiver. But this is a decent wide receiver class, and we should expect plenty to go on days one and two and throughout every round of the 2026 draft. With six first round candidates that could actually pretty much go in any order according to what specific wide receiver type the needy teams are looking for. Teams looking for top level wide receiver help are not short of choice on day one. Another 13 look to have a shot at getting it taken on day two, and then the supply side keeps coming. As I said, I actually have a total of 30, 38, is it? Let's just double check that. 39 in my top 250. So let's work our way down by round. So the potential round one guys and where they are in wide receiver ranking and my overall big board. My first wide receiver is Carnell Tate of Ohio State, who's eighth on my big board. Second is Mackay Lemon of USC, 13 on the big board. Third is Jordan Tyson of Arizona State, is at 15 on my big board. Four is Denzel Boston, 21 on my big board from Washington. Texas A&M's Kevin Concepcion is at 26 on the big board. And the sixth wide receiver is Omar Cooper of Indiana, who I've currently got at 33 on my big board, but I've got a feeling he might be a climber before the draft comes around. So those six, like I say, personally, I'm not a huge fan of Tate. I just the buzz is that he's going to be the first one taken. Lemon, I do like. He's a slot type guy. I think he could do really well. Jordan Tyson, he was the wide receiver one in this class, so he's had a bit of a slide, not had a great combine. Boston and Concepcion have been hovering around this mid to late round one territory pretty much consistently. And like I say, Cooper's the one who's been on the rise recently. So those six, they could go in any order really. As I said, it just depends what kind of wide receiver. And you come back to this time and time again with as we go through this. Teams are looking for. So it's fine saying you arrive at a team who need a wide receiver, but what sort of wide receiver? Do they need that outside guy? Do they need that big-bodied guy? Do they need the slot type? It's really what they want. So those are the round one potential guys. Then I've got what we've got one, two, three, four, five, probably six or seven, maybe even eight that could compete to get into day two, and those are my seventh ranked wide receiver Jeremy Bernard, and eighth ranked Zachariah Branch of Georgia, who are 45 and 45 respectively, 44 and 45 respectively on my big board. Ninth wide receiver is Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame, is 50 on the big board. 10th is Chris Bell of Louisville, 62 on my big board. 11th, Chris Brazell of Tennessee, who's 65. 12th is Elijah Sarrett of Indiana, 66. 13, Antonio Williams of Clemson, 69. And 14, Dion Burks of Oklahoma at 74. And there's even put Jacoby Lane in there at USC at 89. So any of those from 7 to 15 in my wide receiver rankings have a shot at getting into round two. But they're certainly looking at the day two for sure. And again, you've got a variety of types there. Rise and fall wise, Branch has been doing well recently for Georgia. Chris Bell looks fragile. Chris Brazell has been on a gradual slide. I like Antonio Williams. I think he's a bit low at 13. Dion Burks has been on a rise. Jacoby Lane keeps fluctuating. He's one that's polarizing opinion, I think. Um, so, all of those have got a shot. And then we've got some more after that at the borderline end of round um, three, maybe drifting into day three. There's probably four of those. Skylar Bell of Connecticut is 97 on my big board. Ted Hurst of Georgia State is 105 on my big board. Brennan Thompson, who put up a lightning 40 time at the combine. Mississippi State was 110. Hurst also had a quick time. And Bryson Lance, Trey's brother, who had a great combine for North Dakota State, is at 120. So those are between 16 and 19 in my wide receiver rankings. Then I'll quickly rip through the others because then you're into clear day three territory, round four. CJ Daniels is at 126 on my big board out of Miami. Kevin Coleman of Mizzou is at 133. Eric Rivers of Georgia Tech is at 149. Reggie Virgil of Texas Tech at 150. Eric McAllister at TCU 151. And Josh Cameron of Baylor at 157. That's probably the next group of, what is there, six there, competing to get into round four, possibly dropping into round five. DeZorn Striblin is next up, 26 out of Ole Miss, 171. Aaron Anderson, LSU, 173. Jeff Caldwell, Cincinnati, 195. Malik Benson of Oregon at 199. Chase Roberts of BYU at 205. Xavier Thomas of LSU at 210. Harrison Wallace, the third of Ole Miss at 212. Ty Montgomery from the little school John Carroll, 223. Barry and Brown of LSU at 226, Cyrus Allen of Cincinnati at 232, Caleb Douglas of Texas Tech at 234, Kendrick Law of Kentucky at 236, Vinny Anthony of Wisconsin at 242. Don't get him confused with Vincent Anthony of Duke, who's an edge guy. That's going to come up draft time. And Caden Wetjen of Iowa at 245. Now, of all those I've just listed as later in the draft, guys, I will just highlight four: Malik Benson, Xavier Thomas, Barry and Brown, and Caden Wetjen, for the pure reason that they also have value as kick returners on special teams that could really help their draft prospects late in the draft. So they're the wide receivers, and that's how I see them right now. Plenty there for teams to go at. Not a lot of wide receiver free agent options left out there. So really, you might see some risers in this class. There's still plenty of needy teams out there. So that's how it looks at wide receiver right now. Tight ends will be next up on my sweep through the positions. See you soon.